The rise of advanced robotic weaponry, ARW. In the industrial surge of the late 19th century, the Allied Armaments Corporation, AAC, was founded in the United States during the 1870s. Conceived by a small consortium of engineers and metallurgists, AAC specialized in precision firearms and artillery mechanisms. Their innovations in shock-absorbent alloys and mechanical firing systems earned international contracts and elevated the company from a regional supplier to a silent cornerstone of global armament. By the 1880s, AAC's designs were regarded as benchmarks of reliability. Their weapons introduced reactive stabilization, primitive recoil control systems that hinted at the servo-mechanic principles later central to robotics. Neutral in politics but not in profit, AAC supplied all major powers, becoming the invisible quartermaster of the industrialized world. Through the early 1900s, AAC's laboratories expanded into automation and chemical warfare research. Its engineers pursued self-regulating weapon platforms and logic-based firing circuits, rudimentary experiments that foreshadowed autonomous systems. When the Great War erupted, AAC's machines reshaped the battlefield. Tanks, experimental walkers, and chemical dispersal systems flowed from its factories. When the war ended in 1918, the exhausted governments that had relied on AAC now owed it everything. The company rebranded itself Advanced Robotic Weaponry, ARW, a name chosen to signal the new age of mechanized warfare. In the following decades, ARW transformed from manufacturer to multinational power. By the 1940s, it had become a diplomatic entity unto itself, with facilities on 5 continents and patents in every industrial sector. Its doctrine was simple. If war could be mechanized, so could peace. Governments dependent on ARW's machines traded sovereignty for stability, and those that resisted faced embargo and decline. The mid-century brought a new mask. ARW adopted a philanthropic persona, presenting itself as a neutral force for reconstruction and peacekeeping. Its leadership financed the formation of the League of Nations, embedding ARW technicians and consultants deep within the League's communications, transport, and defense infrastructures. The arrangement proved subtle and absolute. Peace was maintained only through the systems ARW controlled. As the League evolved into the United Nations, ARW's influence became foundational. By the late 20th century, its executives held quiet authority over resource allocation, arms regulation, and humanitarian logistics. Entire branches of diplomacy and development operated on ARW-maintained networks. The corporation's guiding principle, control through provision, peace through dependency, became the unspoken law of the international order. By the 1990s, ARW's manufacturing capacity exceeded that of most nations combined. It existed beyond borders or accountability, shielded by treaties it had authored. Opposition was suicide. The 21st century, however, cracked the illusion. Decades of economic disparity and resource monopolization gave rise to a counterforce from the South. By 2010, the nations of South America united under a single banner, the Republic of Gutsa, a self-declared superstate founded on the rejection of corporate rule. Gutsa nationalized all ARW assets within its borders, expelled corporate envoys, and built its own defense network based on human adaptability and conventional engineering rather than automation. ARW dismissed the rebellion at first, yet within a few years, Gutsa's defiance inspired parallel movements across Africa and Asia, forming an informal coalition of nations unwilling to trade their autonomy for ARW's protection. From 2010 to 2016, the world entered an undeclared era of proxy conflicts. Regional wars erupted in deserts, coastlines, and megacities, each one officially labeled as civil unrest, each one secretly orchestrated through the shadow duel between ARW-aligned governments and Gutsa's supporters. The tension broke in 2016. Gutsa issued a declaration that any intrusion by ARW or its affiliates would be met with full military retaliation. Within weeks, sabotage, border clashes, and retaliatory strikes spiraled into the first truly global conflict of the modern age. World War II had erupted. The leader of Gutsa was a charismatic and unique man named John Morphis. He was born in 1932, the only child of Dr. William and Dr. Eleanor Morphis, a pair of renowned archaeologists whose work had already begun reshaping modern understandings of early civilization. Their lives revolved around ancient stone, buried languages, and the belief that humanity's past held truths still unspoken. In 1937, the couple made a discovery that would change everything. Deep within the highlands of South America, they unearthed a shrine, older than any recorded culture, etched with symbols and depictions of a being named Infant Demon. The site defied categorization. Its architecture was alien to the known world, and its inscriptions hinted at forces far beyond human reach. Within a year, the United States government seized and classified the site, sealing it from public record. 6 years later, tragedy struck. In 1944, John revealed abilities he could neither understand nor control. While attempting to demonstrate his power, he accidentally killed both his parents. Overcome with grief and fear, he fled into exile, disappearing from civilization for years. Through the 1940s and 1950s, John Morphis lived alone. In the wilderness, he pushed himself to understand what he had become. The world moved on without him. Wars ended, borders shifted. But in isolation, John studied, meditated, and refined the strange power that had taken everything from him. By the late 1950s, he returned to the public eye, changed, composed, and charismatic. He spoke of freedom, of unity, of mankind's right to govern itself without invisible hands dictating its fate. His words drew people to him, first in small gatherings, then in crowds. During the 1970s, John's following became a movement. He united South America under one banner and formed a new nation, Gutsa. What began as a vision became a government, a single state bound by his leadership and his conviction that humanity could rise above the systems that had kept it divided. By the 2000s, Gutsa's influence spread far beyond its borders. Its ideas, independence, sovereignty, and rejection of corporate rule began to take hold across Asia and beyond. Nations disillusioned with the world order saw in Gutsa a new model of power, a human empire born not of greed, but of will. And so World War II began in 2016, a global conflict between Gutsa and ARW that spread rapidly through their allies. By 2020, the war showed no sign of ending. The world stood fractured and exhausted, and John Morphis, now 88 years old, had grown weary of watching his nation crumble under endless struggle. In desperation, John returned to the ancient shrine once discovered by his parents and called upon Infant Demon. He asked for immortality, believing it was the only way to preserve Gutsa and ensure its survival through the chaos. Infant Demon answered. The god granted his wish, but in exchange cursed the people of Gutsa, using their suffering as the catalyst to open the gates, unleashing chaos upon the mortal realm. John Morphis was cursed as well. His body dissolved into darkness, and he became a shadow, condemned to exist without form, unable to interact with the world he had once fought so hard for. With the gates opened, the gods, Ion and Infant Demon, were set free. Their armies of otherworldly beings clashed. The war lasted over a year and eradicated most of mankind. ARW, what was left of it, hid underground, fractured and defeated. Gutsa was reduced to a small group of cursed and sick survivors. The godly beings receded, and the gates closed as Ion emerged victorious. In time, the Gutsa and ARW will rebuild, emerge from the end of the world, and they will shape mankind's future.